Hey guys, Jonathan here, and with the new 2025 Ultron minifigure from the mech, I thought it would be fun to go back and look at every single LEGO Ultron minifig that's ever been made and compare them in a timeline. Now, the first one, of course, came out in 2015 for Age of Ultron. In fact, that's when most of them came out, but we've gotten a couple extras along the way. So, remember, there are no strings on me. And let's get into our Ultron comparison retrospective. There's only one path to peace, the Avengers' extinction. This is the Ultron Mark 1 from 2015, of course, from Age of Ultron, and this came in the original Avengers Tower. This was such a cool figure with that translucent head with printing on the front and back that kind of helped the head not look like it was totally complete. And speaking of which, that printing on the back as well as on the front of the torso, the hips, and the legs really sealed the deal on how cool of a figure this was. And honestly, I'd say this is probably in like my top 25 Marvel figures ever. I just love how detailed it is, and it was so ahead of its time in 2015. Like, legitimately, this exact figure could come out in a set today, and I would not bat an eye. I think they did such a great job. It was so ahead of its time, and now that makes me want to say, peace in our time. Okay, so I'm kind of going through these in chronological order of appearance in the film. This is Ultron Prime, and this came in the Hulkbuster set from 2015 as well. This one was unique because it had the neck piece here, but actually did not have a headpiece. You'll see where that headpiece came from in just a moment, but I actually think this figure looks infinitely better if you put the actual helmet headpiece on it. That being said, we're reviewing the figures the way that they came in the box, so of course I have to leave that headpiece off. Regardless, we have a great torso and leg print here as well as on the back, and I really like all of those red lights that are hidden throughout his body. I think that it really adds a menacing tone to the figure, and I absolutely love the way that this one looks. And just like the last one, I actually feel like all of these Age of Ultron figures could come out today and would be absolutely perfect alongside modern LEGO figures. Alright, so these are the Ultron Sentry drones. These came in the Iron Man vs. Ultron Battle Pack, again from 2015, and the figures are actually identical, with the exception of this one having the helmet, and he was supposed to be like the pilot drone. He also had like a backpack that had these giant antennae, but I always considered that a little bit more a part of the set than a part of the minifig per se, so I've never displayed it with those, plus it would take up so much extra space. Anyways, kind of like the Ultron Prime we just looked at, this has blue dots of light all throughout it, and again, it just adds a lot of depth and robotic creepiness to these figures. When you bought this set, you actually got 3, and like I said, if you just remove this helmet, the figures are identical, so you actually got 3 per battle pack, one of which having the helmet, and this was such a cool way to army build back in the day. It's actually one of the very few LEGO Marvel army builders we've ever been given, so all these years later, it's really cool to see these, and man, these have gone up in value like crazy. And here we have Ultimate Ultron. This came in the Avengers Quinjet Battle from Age of Ultron, unsurprisingly, in the way back here of 2015. Bet you couldn't have guessed that. Anyways, this figure was awesome because it had the neck piece that we just looked at from the Ultron Prime, but this time in this kind of reflective silver and also with some printing around the chin area that really just adds a lot of depth when it connects with the helmet up top. If we lift off the helmet up top, oh no, it took the head with it. There we go. You can see that there are actually some like computer dots around the chin. They're very faint and they kind of get buried by the time that we put the figure's head on, but you can just barely see those lights inside the mouth/cheek area, and when you do that, it really just adds depth to the figure, and I love it. That being said, the torso and leg print is phenomenal on this. It even continues onto the back and looks great, and this is absolutely one of my favorite Marvel figures of all time. Now, Mighty Micros is where the next and for a long time final Ultron figure popped up. This, of course, was a comic book inspired sub-theme of LEGO Marvel and LEGO DC, where we got these very cartoony versions of characters that were honestly pretty darn true to the comics, but they looked a lot more cartoony than the traditional comic book style. And all of them had these short legs because they came in like these bumper cars that they were supposed to battle in. It was a fun little sub-theme there for a little while, and it gave us some unique minifigs just like this one, but it was ultimately pretty short-lived and understandably so. We wouldn't see Ultron again in Lego form until the $500 Avengers Tower in 2023. This gave us an upgraded or perhaps updated version of the Ultron Mark 1, and I do think that since we can actually compare, this is the only time that an exact Ultron has been remade one-to-one, that being two different Ultron Mark 1s, and it is very interesting how different these figures are. After time has gone by, I still think I prefer the original from 2015 the best, but I do think that the 2023 version here has a lot of extra great detail, particularly in the torso area, and when we flip it around back, you can see that we've got just a little bit of extra printing on there, especially on the back of the head, that makes this one stand in its own way. Like I said, I personally prefer 2015, but I could absolutely see how people can like 2023 better, and I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. And in 2025, we got our first ever truly comic book inspired Ultron. This one is so menacing and evil looking with the face, and I love it. Of course, getting that neck bracket piece back is very cool for Ultron as well, and I think that this figure looks phenomenal. Really, this is my favorite figure of the 2025 winter wave for LEGO Marvel sets, and honestly, I'm just so happy that we have an affordable way for LEGO Marvel fans to get Ultron, and yes, it's not the MCU version, but I think a lot of people would rather have this Ultron than no Ultron at all, and considering how expensive all of the other ones before this one are at present time, it is pretty cool that LEGO gave us an iconic villain in such a cheap set. The printing on the torso and legs are great. We even got toe printing for the second time on Ultron. The first time, of course, was the 2023 Mark 1, but overall, I think this figure looks great and really seals the deal on a great first true comic book Ultron. Alright guys, let me know how many Ultrons you have in your LEGO collection and which one you think is the ultimate best. I know I have my favorites, but I think that they all are really great, and honestly, it's pretty amazing we've gotten as many as we have, even if there was a huge gap in between when we got them. Anyways, let me know your guys' thoughts. Be sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.